Good day. Leadership has become a priority in global education. It plays an important role in improving the outcome of schools by influencing the motivations and skills of educators, the school environment, and the climate. Effective school leadership is essential to enhance the school efficiency and equity of education. Leadership effectiveness. It can be defined as the leader's ability to effectively influence followers and other organizational stakeholders to reach the goals of the organization. That is according to UCUL 2005. Effective leaders lead people to accomplish tasks and get results. In addition to people skills, the effective leaders are passionate, visionary, and high character, or the virtuous ones. UCUL states that it is important to determine how leaders influence employees to go beyond the standard performance expectations or standards just to attain organizational goals. Further, effective leadership is a combination of efficient planning, organizing, leading, commending, and guiding people. Types of leadership. Okay, let's proceed to the types of leadership. The first one is the laissez-faire leadership. It is also known as the delegative leadership. It is a type of leadership style in which leaders are hands-off and allow group members to make decisions. However, the leader is still responsible for the decisions that are made. This type is largely hands-off with minimal direction and supervision from the manager to the staff. And there are characteristics of a laissez-faire leadership. Letter A, it must have very little guidance from leaders, or they don't micromanage or get too involved. They do not give too much instruction or guidance to their subordinates. Letter B, complete freedom for followers to make decisions. These leaders have an attitude of trust and reliance to their employees, so they give guidance and take responsibility where needed. But this leadership style means that subordinates and team members have the real lead. In letter C, leaders provide the tools and resources needed. Of course, and for the letter D, group members are expected to solve problems on their own. Transactional leadership. Transactional leadership focuses on results. It conforms to the existing structure of an organization and measures success according to that organization's system of rewards and penalties. Leaders here promote compliance by followers through both rewards and punishment system, or the RW system. Through this system, transactional leaders are able to keep followers motivated for a short-term period. Many people refer to this method as a by-the-book management style, because this type of leadership starts with the idea that the team members agree to obey their leader when they accept a job. The leader here has a right to punish team members and if their work doesn't meet an appropriate standard. This leadership style usually is for short-term transactions only. They always maintain the status quo of management. The third one is transformational leadership. A leader works with teams to identify needed change, creating a vision to guide the change through inspiration and executing the change in tandem with committed members of a group. This is the opposite of transactional leadership because transformational leadership revolves around breeding change in as many ways as possible. According to the idea, these transformational leaders inspire their team members because they expect the best from everyone and they hold themselves accountable for their actions. They set clear goals and they need to have good conflict resolution skills. This leads to high productivity and engagement. Let's proceed to 4.3 or the other types of leadership. The first one is the autocratic leadership. Autocratic leaders aren't so much focused on how they can improve the lives of others as they are how they can position themselves to seem all important and feared. In this situation, the leader has the entirety of the control, authority, and responsibility as a boss. This type of leader does not consult with others before making decisions, nor do they consider the good whole over their own needs and wants. They tend to be inflexible, unrealistic, and even abusive at times. However, it is also common for autocratic leaders to be charming in a way. They have to convince people to trust them somehow. Regardless, these dynamics can make them confusing to deal with. One day, they are friendly, funny, and encouraging, and the next, they are cunning, demeaning, and unrealistic. Second one is the democratic leadership. Democratic leaders make their role less about status and more about management. Democratic leadership places the good of the whole above the good of the leader themselves. In this style, many people are involved in decision making, though the leader does have the final say and assumes responsibility for whatever happens. This type of leader is an excellent communicator and is often preferred for its focus on fairness, creativity, resilience, and transparency. This is the type in which the leader is driven by a desire to manage and to do right by them, to ensure that people are taken care and positive changes are made. The third one is strategic leadership. Strategic leaders, like democratic leaders, care about the success of the whole more than they do on their own status. But their approach is a little bit different. Rather than making progress simply by what's most popular, strategic leaders are focused on how to rapidly improve conditions and loop into better performance. Strategic leaders fulfill their role of being a team leader not only by taking responsibility for what happens, but by developing and employing methods and strategies that will improve the lives and well-being of everyone involved. They are less concerned with maintaining the status quo than they are transforming it. This type of leaders are independent thinkers and progressively minded. Number 4. Number 4 is the transformational leadership. The goal, as we know, the goal of the transformational leader is to empower those who follow them to create radical, positive change in their own lives. They are most passionate about initiating change. This change on a massive scale and often position themselves in a place to reach other groups of people at a time. These transformational leaders are always more progressive and productive than they imagine they can be. This is because they are not relying on being the sole agent of change. Their approach is to empower each individual to make advancements and changes in their own lives, which results in better performance and outcomes. Team leadership is number 5. Team leaders don't just focus on the good of the whole. They focus on navigating the personal dynamics of smaller, initiated groups rather than just trying to motivate each individual. They focus on the strengths and weaknesses and of each and decide how to best employ them in harmony as one. Team leaders always need to have a vision for the future and for their goals without a common cause. The team is destined to get caught up in personal politics and fail. The team leader is responsible for sorting through these issues and ensuring that everyone is staying on pace for their goals. Team leaders also take on the role of both friend, companion, mentor, and at times, a boss. Number 6. Cross-cultural leader. Cross-cultural leadership. Under these leaders, they are driven by a deep desire to see different types of people, whether that is racial, political, or social, integrated, and to see those less privileged being given voices and equal opportunities. They are committed to creating work and social environments in which all people can thrive. A cross-cultural leader is necessary because there is so much diversity in a certain organization. However, an effective leader in this domain will be able to intuit and reason with people from different backgrounds rather than just advocating for one over another. They have deep understanding of various perspectives, which is what makes their role so important in cross-cultural leadership. Number 7. Facilitative leadership. Facilitative leaders focus less on the personal dynamics or individual needs of the group and more on their collective approach. They judge the efficiency of the group strictly on their outcomes, not their personal satisfaction. These types of leaders come in handy when the group is low functioning or not as effective as they should be. If their outcomes are consistently not up to par, facilitative leaders are best at entering the dynamic and identifying areas of change. Laissez-faire leadership. Again, laissez-faire leaders are as laid back as they come. The French term literally translates to a policy or attitude of letting things take their own course without interfering. In this type of leadership, all authority is handed over to the subordinates with to no interference. Those under this leadership see managing as ineffective and believe that individuals are best motivated by their own personal drive. These types of leaders also believe non-invasive management will make them better like. However, this is rarely true. It is often the least effective type of management or leadership and typically yields the least fulfilled employees. Number 9. Transactional leadership. Transactional leaders are not so much interested in being purveyors of change as they are just maintaining the status quo. They are not innovators, they are sustainers, and they actually do have an important role in the world. Their approach largely relies on the leader making explicit rules and expectations, and the followers or employees being directly rewarded in completing those tasks. These leaders are typically very effective. There is a direct and immediate reward system in place, and they are often very good communicators that set realistic expectations and standards. They do push their subordinates to work more efficiently, but not at the expense of disrupting the status quo. They complement transformational leaders and strategic leaders very well. Number 10. Coaching leadership. People with a coaching leadership style focus more on improving a person's individual effectiveness and self-motivation than they do just managing the outcomes or the interpersonal dynamics of a team. Coaches are definitely geared toward results and performance, but it's more about the individual and how they operate on their own before and outside the team or structure. Coaching leaders are similar to transformational leaders in that their objective is to motivate and encourage others to believe that change is possible. Beyond that, they are similar to strategic leaders in that they focus on developing and employing an action plan to ensure that their clients or followers' potential is realized. Number 11. Charismatic Leadership. A charismatic leader uses their own radical or different personality to completely transform the status quo, rather than focusing on how they can change the actions of others or the system in which they work. Their power comes from literally just convincing people to follow them because of how effective they have been in the past. These leaders are different than autocratic leaders, though they can have many things in common. If the charismatic leader has a penchant for bigotry or negativity, however, they are differentiated because charismatic leaders care more about shifting the structure as it stands and reorienting people's attitudes by displaying effectiveness rather than just enforcing rules without evidence that they work. And of course, number 12. Visionary leadership. Visionary leaders are the rarest and the most powerful among them all. These are the types of leaders who begin with a vision for a company, a form of social change, or even just a community, and then strategize a way to employ the skills of others to create that. They are truly out of the box. These leaders are innovative and completely unique thinkers. Their purpose is not just to help others improve their skill sets or to transform a structure as it is. They want to invent something that has never existed before. Visionary leaders have the ability to take ideas and implement them effectively. And most visionaries typically utilize other forms of leadership in tandem with this one. Remember, leadership is by action, not opposition. Thank you.